207-07-309-01.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we're currently live.
Okay. Thank you. And so, in order to, when we're done with the docket, who does the clerk need to go and push some button?
Yes, we would need to stop it over here.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that she understands what is going on.
Yeah, I have no clue, but just a second, I'm trying to find attorneys. 82.
Okay, we'll come back around.
Okay, I appreciate it. And is there any
No.
way, I'm going to make sure that I get your contact information because I would just want to make sure if there's any glitches that come up that I can speak directly to you.
Definitely, and I'll actually email you right now.
Thank you.
No problem, Your Honor.
Well, wait, I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you.
Where are you emailing me to? I'm sorry. Can you just give your contact information to Madam Clerk and she can get it to me?
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Over here. Somebody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Judge Archer, Mark Hyder.
Hello, Mark Hyder. Which case are you checking here in on?
I believe it's Dinkins.
Okay.
I don't have a master.
All we would have to do is right here, there's 3 buttons that says more, you click it and hit stop live stream.
But that's not gonna work when they try to do the breakout rooms and stuff.
No, they would have breakout rooms right here. It would all have to be controlled through this host right here.
See, I can't be up there and be down here. I'm only.
Yeah. Laptop. So we'll have to work on that. I'll have to write that down. We don't have to go with the other.
So let's hit record, so we'll go on here.
Okay.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Winters.
Jabs is up, live is up. We'll come back around for this part.
Thank you. What's your
No
name?
problem. Coder.
Pardon?
Coder?
Coder, thank you.
No problem, Your Honor.
Judge, this is Richard Glanda.
Good morning, Mr. Glenda.
I have Yolanda Stringer. I believe that's up today for an exam.
Okay.
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
Do you have the case number? Because several cases were moved and I don't see that name on my docket.
I have a CTN number here.
Yeah, just let me have the last name.
Stringer, Stringer, Yolanda.
And the first,
Yolanda, Yolanda. It's a drug case.
second, so I can look it up.
Good morning, Tammy and Judge Archer and Ms. Fortier. Does anybody happen to have the link number for Judge Jones's courtroom?
This
It's
is,
the same-
This is it.
It's
Mm.
Oh,
same number. But I need to speak to Mr. Glanda real quick.
sure.
I have a case number here. I found it.
I have it. That case was moved to Judge King, but I have a question to you regarding Ryan Gist. It was a couple weeks ago. We scheduled it for a competency hearing.
Yes,
Were you able to get his signature on the medical release?
I have the release, but I've talked to him from the jail, but I can't get into the jail.
Okay. Do you know which division he's in?
I don't know. I'm assuming Division 2, the old jail, based on the charge.
Okay.
But I
will
have the
see-
form. I have the form right in front of me right now. As a matter of fact, I filled it out best I could, but I don't have his. Plus, he has a guard. Well, no, he had a guardian. I don't think he has a guardian anymore. But because there was a signature block for guardian, but I don't think we need that now.
Okay, I will see if I can fax that form over to the jail and I'll see if they can get the signature on it so we can get this rolling. Because
Okay,
nothing can
thank you.
happen until I get his signature to release those medical records.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, all right, I'll work on it hopefully today. Thank you. And then you'll just need to call in Judge Giles's courtroom, because Judge Giles is doing Judge King's docket.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
in 439.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
Good
Tammy?
morning. Who am I-
Hey, this is Taylor. Do you have a Brian Brigham?
It is on the docket today for a review.
Okay, so he was to get competency, so I don't know where that is. He was supposed to be getting the
Yeah,
competency.
I don't know that we received any information. He is out though, correct?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Because again, they had to get him reevaluated, so he was at the forensic center the last I've heard. But he has a very supportive family, so they probably did get him out, I'm assuming.
I can't tell anything in here, so I'm not sure if you want to, if we want to just adjourn that.
Yes, that's what I would love to do.
Okay, give me just a second. Judge Archer's courtroom, Tam. Hi there. Okay, who is it? You can't read, you can't, that thing.
Who's Mark's iPhone? What's that?
Mark Hyder,
Oh, okay.
how you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, hoping everybody stays safe. Can you see me or no? Did I?
Oh, I see a blank space. Who is this Mark who?
Mark Hyder.
Oh, okay.
Hyder.
All right.
Can you see me or no?
No, we can't see you,
Oh,
Mark.
do you want to
Bill
see me?
Winters here. No, we got your video, your audio, but don't see you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's why I did that.
Yeah, you can turn it on or off.
Okay, let me see if I could turn it on. Let's see. Well, anyways, I got an easy one, Dinkins, but I can't find where to turn it on. Save, share content, participants. Maybe that'll work. No. Yeah.
Start video.
Calling in?
Oh, start video. Okay.
Hi,
it.
Tammy. This is Sarah Kraus. I have not checked in yet.
Okay.
I have Nakimo Burton on the docket for an exam today, but that was actually heard last week before Judge Jones, and we adjourned the PCC to May 13th. So I don't know why it's on the docket today.
I don't see it on the docket, so I'm not sure if those dockets were printed out previously.
Okay.
It seems it's not on the docket today.
Okay, so I'm good to go then.
All right, yeah, it's not on the docket.
Tammy,
Thanks,
Tammy, my case is on Judge Jones's docket. I know you're doing that today, but I guess you're just going to give me another date.
Who is it? Who's your client?
Dinkins. I was told. I didn't receive an email. Another attorney called me.
All right, they have actually moved a lot of cases, so a lot of cases have been switched to different judges, and I don't see that on the docket. So do you have the 36th District Court case number?
You know, I don't. They didn't give me the case number. But Dinkins, no, you don't see it today, huh?
Let me look it up, because it may be on the docket. It's probably just in a different courtroom. What's the first name?
The way she pronounced it, it was like Narcissa, but she didn't have the spelling. You know, Kim from the defender's office called me because I didn't get an assignment, but I guess because she was getting so many cases for the defender's office, she wanted to let me know that I had this case up. That's the only way I know.
Can you spell the last name for me?
Dinkins.
And you said the first name started with an N?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need
You
a
don't
little
see
more
it?
information.
Mhm.
I'm not
All right,
seeing
I'm
it.
sorry. Yeah,
Oh.
like I say, she just told me that it was on Judge Jones's docket and that it would
Okay.
be heard by Judge Archer. That's all she told
And
me.
it very well could have been, but they have been changing
I
judges on
understand.
numerous cases. So just because it's not in here now, doesn't mean it's not on the docket today. I just need the correct spelling
All
and
right.
name, and I
Thanks,
can look it
Tim.
up.
Thanks
Excuse
a
me,
lot.
Okay.
if I may interject, it might be Nafisa Mickens.
Yeah, that might be it.
I
That's,
do see that name on the courtroom calendar for Judge Archer. So the first name spelling is Nafeesaah, and the last name is Mickens, Mickens.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Because she left me a voicemail. Nafisa Mickens.
Hi, Tammy.
Can you spell that last name for me, please? Because that's not on our docket either. That's been moved.
Yes, I can spell it. Mickens, and the case number, if this helps, 2005-611-401. I have a
see it now.
courtroom calendar that we received yesterday, and so that name.
I have, it was moved to Judge King's docket, but Judge Giles is doing Judge King's docket, so you'll need to call into Judge Giles's courtroom.
Okay, and there, does anybody know their number?
It's this, the only numbers that are different is the middle three numbers, so it'll be 439.
439. I got you.
439.
Thanks again
Okay.
so much. Thank you. So all stay safe. All right.
No problem.
And I am here. I haven't checked in on my cases.
Okay, who are you checking?
I
in
have
on?
Yolanda Dillard. I'm not sure if it was retained, but I was originally appointed from Neighborhood Defender Service.
Okay, so, you should have that. I called this morning, and this is who that I received information that the Neighborhood Defender's Office would be representing, would be Yolanda Dillard.
Yes. And do you also have DeLeonard Anderson?
No. No, but I'll look that up. But I do have Yolanda D-Y-E.
Di. No, because I know I have Dillard. I do see.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's you or not. That's the information I have that Neighborhood Defender's Office is representing them.
Okay.
Di, and then on Judge Stanford Jones is an Antoine Wright.
Antoine.
W-R-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
And then who was the other person you said? Because that, a lot of cases were moved, so it might have been moved.
DeLeonard Anderson, I think I looked at the Register of Actions. It might have been moved to King, so I'll double check that. I know it was originally on Judge Archer's docket.
Okay. Okay. And
Hi, Tammy.
morning.
Good morning. I'm here on Jerry Miller. Spoke to you earlier.
Number?
46892.
Okay, let me get it, and then we can call it.
Tammy,
Yes.
good morning again. It's Arnie Chambers.
Uh-huh.
Good morning, Judge. On Ismail Abbas,
Yes.
that case is in conjunction with Al-Azawi, Kawar Al-Azawi, that is set for an examination.
Okay.
So I don't see that his attorney has checked in yet. Maybe he has, but I would probably like to go on the record with regards to that, since my client did have an issue with being picked up on a witness detainer previously.
Okay, give me just a moment. Oh, that is correct, I see that. Okay, just a moment. Judge Archer's courtroom, Tammy. Judge Giles is doing Judge King's docket, so you'll need to call Judge Giles' number. And that's 439-360-439-0000. Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay. Yeah. That attorney hasn't checked in yet, Mr. Chambers. It's probably was moved, they've been moving cases around. Actually, I think that was in this.
No. I think you should stand in for me now.
I can look it up by the name. What's the last name? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was moved to Judge Giles. So call Judge Giles.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. All right, bye. Mr. Taylor, do you want me to call your case?
Please.
Who's my prosecutors today?
Tammy, it's me for
Good.
DB, and then it's Ben, I think.
Yeah, it's Ben.
And I'm here from the AG's office, Deb Carley.
Oh, okay, thank you, okay.
Thank you.
Calling parties on Brian Brigham.
Edward Taylor, 57166, appearing on behalf of Brigham.
Just a moment.
Mr. Taylor. I was just going to say, Mr. Taylor, can you give a moment so she can call the full case?
Oh, no problem.
Calling case number 1958428, the people of the state of Michigan versus Brian Brigham. The defendant is charged with count 1, 2, and 3, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault, count 4, assault and battery, count 5, assault and battery. This case is scheduled for I believe, a review today. Is it a
Okay.
competency?
Thank you. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ben Denham with P74280 for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ed Taylor, 57166, appearing on behalf of Mr. Brigham.
Okay, and Mr. Brigham
And this
is in
was a
custody or?
review, Your Honor.
Okay, is Mr. Brigham in custody or a bonder?
No.
I believe he's at the treatment center for mental health treatment.
Okay, well, I'll need a little bit of
Hello?
procedural.
I do have a report that they just brought in yesterday that he is still at ICU Beaumont, and it says that Mr. Brigham has.
Okay, hold on 1 second, 1 second. First of all, do we have a court reporter here?
Yes.
And second of all, there's someone who has audio going and they're talking, and we cannot make a proper record, nor can I hear with that audio going.
So you open the app 36.
Is it just me, or does anyone else hear a
No, I hear
conversation?
some-
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Why don't you get back out
Okay,
there?
Your Honor, Mr. Glazer and
It might not be.
She's frozen.
She's frozen or everybody's frozen?
No, I'm not, but everything else is.
It's Mr. Taylor.
Leave it and just go back.
It is.
Okay, so I just need a little bit of procedural background so we understand what we're doing. My first question is, with the defendant obviously not here and in a facility, Mr. Taylor, do you waive your client's appearance here today for the purpose of proceeding?
Your Honor, I think he logged off.
Oh. Okay. Tammy, can we recall this matter when he comes back?
He's,
I see the picture. Mr.
Judge, he's back.
I'm back now.
Okay.
That was a glitch here, so I don't know what
Everything
happened.
froze up.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you waive your client's presence here today for the purposes of proceeding?
Morning, Your Honor. Yes, I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today is a date and time set to keep this on track as a review. He was previously deemed incompetent.
They sent him to get tested, Your Honor, and I haven't heard anything since then. He came back, and then Judge Wagner sent him back in. So I'm assuming if he's not out, he might be still getting therapy. I'm not sure.
Okay, again, let me first say this, that I'm a little bit of a disadvantage because I do not have
I think we should adjourn it, and I can see if I can locate him. It's been a couple of months.
Okay. Yes.
The court received a letter March 31st, 2020, that the defendant on March 30th, Mr. Brigham, was admitted into Beaumont Trenton Hospital, where he remains in ICU. So he is hospitalized on a detainer from Wayne County.
Yeah, internet connection is unstable. Yeah, what's wrong? I thought you was high tech.
I don't think it's our stuff because we weren't having that problem.
Okay, Madam Clerk,
Yes.
let me just say that this is a very confusing record that we're making because I'm having
Go off.
difficulty
You can see her.
Hello?
hearing.
Are you still there?
We're here.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
So
according to Madam Clerk, Mr. Brigham is in a facility.
okay.
And today was set, I'm not asking because I just want to hear myself talk, but I don't have the file, the physical file before me because I'm zooming in as well. So I just need to understand procedurally where we are. Is this a matter that was originally referred for competency and then put off the typical 90 days and we're still waiting on a report?
I think as well as I can remember, it was referred for competency. Okay, he came back and we went in front of Judge Wagner, and I don't know what actually happened then, but anyway, Judge Wagner remanded him back in again.
Mr. Prosecutor, Mr. Jenoweth, can you aid us in understanding where we are? Did we lose Mr. Jenoweth?
I actually have some information, Judge.
Do we have a prosecutor present?
I got disconnected. Are we still on the same Brigham case?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
am. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, go ahead.
I can't hear now.
There's a letter in the file dated January 9th, 2020, and the patient remains incompetent to stand trial. So I think this was just set as a review just to see where his standings were, but he's still hospitalized, he's still detained, so.
Okay, so there was a referral that was made some time ago, and then he was deemed incompetent, and then this was kept on track to see where we are.
That sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so what is your pleasure here today?
Well, seeing how the situation is, I think we should adjourn it.
For another review?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Prosecutor, are you with us?
I don't see him.
I think, Madam Clerk, I just think it might be a good idea to recall this once we get everybody on the same virtual page.
Okay.
Because I cannot close this matter without Mr. Jenoweth chiming in.
I'm back, Judge. I keep getting disconnected.
That's
don't
okay.
know.
We're all trying to hang in there. Okay, so where we are is that he was deemed incompetent, correct?
Yes.
And we set this matter for a review, right? He's still in a facility being treated. So I'm asking Mr. Taylor what his pleasure is. He's asking that this matter be adjourned further out. I'm just assuming, Mr. Prosecutor, you're on the same page with this?
Yes, Your Honor, that would be great.
Okay, what period of time? Typically, there would be another report generated indicating feedback from the facility after another evaluation has been done, confirming the prior ruling.
Yeah, I
if you
think
will.
the date is not that important since the court has to hold a hearing within 5 days of the report. It always get changed anyway, so.
Okay, so did we get did we get another report?
The clerk just said she got one yesterday, so I guess this
No.
would be the hearing for
Oh, I
that
thought that was from
report,
Jan-
and then there would be
Oh,
another
okay.
report.
Okay, so let me just ask, when do you want it adjourned to?
3 months.
Well,
Okay, Tammy, so that we can move on to the next case, can you give us a 3-month date?
July 15th.
The matter will be adjourned to July 15th so that we can review this matter once again and get a report back. And if a report is received prior to that date, we'll proceed accordingly. But July 15th will be the next scheduled review date.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Stay safe. All right, bye-bye.
You too. Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk.
Yes,
Hi, good morning. Could I please check in with you?
sure. Who's your client?
My client is Yolanda Dye.
Okay, and what's your P number?
82476.
Okay, do you know if Miss Dye, is she out?
Yes, she's out of custody.
Okay, give me just a moment and then we can call it.
Thank you.
Also, Madam Clerk, I am going to be standing on a case for Ms. Kim Basin-Michon. It's Antoine Wright.
And Tammy, can I chime in too?
I see you.
Oh, hold on.
You have Duplessis?
I do. Thanks, hon. Okay, I do.
Yeah. Is he out? Duplessis is out?
He's out.
Okay,
Mr. Duplessis is out, correct.
just a second.
Whenever you're ready. Okay, thanks.
Okay, now, who else was speaking? Who is representing Anton Wright?
I'm going to be representing Antoine Wright. I also have Yolanda Dillard, who I checked on earlier.
Okay, and what's your P number?
P83670.
And you have Yolanda died too. Okay, let me pull these.
Hey, Tammy,
Yes.
did we ever figure out where Burgos is, Burgos? Is that on your docket or Judge?
It's on our docket.
Okay.
But he is in lockup, so I'm actually waiting.
Okay, don't even worry about that then. Don't even worry. I just want to make sure it's on your docket. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Calling parties on Jerry Miller. Case number 2056499, the people of the state of Michigan versus Jerry Nathaniel Miller. The defendant is charged with count 1, home invasion, 1st degree, count 2, domestic violence, habitual offender, 3rd offense notice. This is scheduled for a probable cause hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Darian Fort here on behalf of the people.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, Jeffrey Glazer, P4892 on behalf of Mr. Miller. Is it okay if I sit for purposes of the camera?
Sure, yes, there, I can see you now. Good morning to you. Is your
Thank you.
client in or out?
Judge, he's on tether. He's currently placed in a residential placement in Elmhurst House, Elmhurst Home.
Okay, do you waive his presence here today for the purpose of proceeding?
For today's hearing, I'll waive his presence, correct, Judge?
Okay, thank you. It's scheduled for PCC today, so my first question is whether or not you have received adequate discovery.
As I put in a request, I don't believe I have discovery as of yet. I was hoping to talk to the prosecutor and see if I could get discovery.
Judge, because this is a domestic violence case and I currently have all the files, I will just email Mr. Glazer when we're done here today.
Okay, do you need his email address or do you have it?
Mr. Glazer, is your email address on the bar website?
It's not, but I could give, if you give me your phone number, I could call it into you.
That's perfect. It's 586-292-7966.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, so the new PCC date, Tammy, are we looking at May 20th or is that a business day?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, May 20th will be the new PCC date. And I'm hopeful that within the time frame allotted here that you will not only receive your discovery, but you'll also have an opportunity to speak with your client so that we know what direction we're going when we return on the 20th.
Yes, Judge, I did have a chance to speak to him in the by telephone, Judge. I would just indicate to the court, I'm assuming the court's finding good cause. Otherwise, we'd ask that the exam be, or the PCC be held within statutory time frames. And I do wish to address bond, Judge.
Well, hold on. Let's not move away from that. Okay, so given the fact that he is not in custody, he's not in
Yes,
custody,
Judge.
correct?
No, he's untethered, Judge.
We are in the midst of a pandemic, which is out of my control. And those matters where individuals are not in custody, we can't open the door to the courthouse until that order is lifted regarding the pandemic. So I do find good cause. I don't have like an option B or an option C where we can actually go into the courthouse because to remain within the time frame of staying within the 21 days from the date of arraignment. Given this unprecedented situation we're dealing with, this is what we're working with, and this is the best that we can do. I am hopeful that on May 20th, we'll be back up and running, but I can't tell you that I can guarantee that. If we're not, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that is the date that we are setting to keep things on track. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to see you and your client in person on that date.
Yes, Judge. Understood. Thank you, Judge. Judge, can
You're
I
welcome.
briefly address bond?
Yes.
Judge, he's on a personal bond and he is tethered out to the Elmhurst house. The placement appears to be okay at this point in time. However, my client works as a construction worker. He does asbestos abatement. He does have a daughter. He does have a few blemishes on his record, but Judge, I'm asking you to consider allowing him to expand his tether to allow him to go to and from work if there's any work projects, construction projects that he could go on, or he can provide for his daughter. I believe.
I'm sorry. It's distorted. What you're speaking is distorted. I can't understand it. The last thing I have is he has a few blemishes on his record, and then it got really.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. He has a few blemishes on his record. However, Judge, he does have a daughter. He has strong contacts to the community. I'm asking the court to expand his tether to allow him to go to and from any construction projects that may come up during this period where he could work and provide for his family, Judge.
Thank you. Madam Prosecutor, any objection to that?
Judge, if I may just have 1 second.
Sure. Madam Prosecutor, actually, give me 1 moment right now. You can review that. I'm going to be back in just 30 seconds.
Okay, I have a question for the defense attorney anyway. Mr. Glazer, are you asking for a set time frame?
Either set time frame or upon verification from his employer.
Does he have no hours right now?
Pardon me?
Does he have
He's not, I don't think, because of his placement, I'm not sure he's allowed to do anything without authority from the court, so.
Okay, so basically he's on house arrest at this place.
He's in a residential treatment, I believe.
Okay. Would he be staying at the treatment center and then just being allowed to leave for work?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I did hear what you were saying. So Madam Prosecutor, my question to you is, do you have any objection to that, that amendment such that he can go to and from work so long as it's verified?
Judge, I think if it's verified and he still remains in the treatment center and is only leaving to go to work and he has a GPS tether, the people would leave it in the court's discretion. I would, however, ask that he stay at the treatment center.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't think there was a request to amend that unless I just didn't hear it. I will allow for that, but, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Judge, I was going to say if the court would be inclined to just give him a straight personal bond, he would be able to go to and from work without having to stay at the treatment center. I think he's in the treatment center just for placement purposes, Judge. I don't believe he, from what my understanding is, I don't believe there's a substance abuse issue right now.
Okay, I am not going to alter that aspect of it. I will, however, allow for an amendment of the GPS restriction such that he can go to and from work so long as it's verified. So he would have to provide that information. And I have no problem with that amendment being made. Madam Clerk, if you can make that notation in the system.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you. Again, he is to remain at the facility where he is, and there's to be absolutely no contact with the complaining witness or the location of the offense.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Is there a defense attorney here on Antoine Wright? Is that Ms. Poole?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Be safe, and thank you so much, Your Honor.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
I'll call that now if you like. Calling parties on Wright.
Ready.
Case number 2056573. The people of the state of Michigan versus Antoine Darnell Wright. The defendant is charged with count 1 and 2, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault. Count 3, weapons, felony, firearm. Count 4, domestic violence, commission of a felony with a motor vehicle advisory. This case is scheduled for a probable cause hearing this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Morning, Your Honor. Darian Fortier on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit by Alexandria Poole. I'm here for Mr. Antoine Wright, P number 83670, and I'm here also for the attorney of record, Kim Mashan.
Thank you. And Mr. Wright is out on bond?
Yes, my understanding, yes.
Also,
and are you requesting that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Judge, I was just saying that's also my understanding.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And are you in a position to request to waive your client's or?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Oh, yes. Okay. So his presence will be waived for purposes of proceeding here today. It is a PCC, and I know that you're standing in for the attorney of record, but
Yes.
I would just hope that between now and the date of the new PCC, that any discovery has been made available, and that the attorney of record has had an opportunity to speak with her client, Mr. Wright. The new PCC date is going to be May 20th, 2020 at 8:30 in the morning, and the bond is going to continue unless there's some objection or concern raised by the prosecution.
Judge, no objection for the people regarding bond. Just for the record, I will get paper discovery to Ms. Michon, I would say sometime today. And then also just for the record, I don't currently have any digital discovery in my file. However, the file does indicate that at one point it was available. So I will also be in contact with the officer in charge regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Calling parties on Londa Dye.
Tammy, I'm not certain if we have the prosecutor here on that one.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thought I saw. Just a second, I'm just trying to find which count she was. Calling case number 1164888, the people of the state of Michigan versus Yonzla Dai. First name is spelled Yuondla. The defendant is charged with count 15, stolen property, receiving and concealing a motor vehicle.
Thank you, ma'am.
Scheduled for an examination today.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor, and good morning to your wonderful staff. Appearing on behalf of the people, Reginald Andrier, P80354.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit by Henry Schneider, 82476 on behalf of Miss Yolanda Dye. She is not present, and I would ask to waive her presence.
So ordered. Okay, so today was set for an examination. Obviously, due to the health crisis, we are in the need of finding a new date for that examination. And May 20th is the date that I believe we should be up and running. Is that date available for you both?
Yes, Your Honor.
It works for the defense.
So May 20th, 2020, it's going to be set again for an exam. And that's at 9 a.m. The bond is going to continue in the meantime, and I'm assuming that since this was teed up for an exam today, I'm assuming that discovery has already been tendered and that's not an issue.
Actually, Your Honor, I did submit a request via the online COVID procedure on Friday, which would have been April the 10th. And so I'm happy to follow up with Mr. Andrew about that, but I do not have it just yet.
Okay, Mr. Prosecutor?
I'm going to look into it. I know there's some issues going on. I believe right now that processforevidence.com, my understanding at this present moment is that it's for in custody cases only once the PCC has been conducted. In terms of not in custody defendants, we're still working that out. But obviously it would still need to have a PCC that's conducted first so we can get on the record the blanket protective order for the digital discovery and any discovery that might have information concerning the victims. It's all, right now it's regarding the redaction process and how, as the files are coming in, what's happening to the in custody cases versus not in custody cases, because my unit, for the most part, are not at Frank Murphy. So getting the files here to us, it's been an issue, but we're working to address that, and hopefully we'll have it addressed by the end of this week.
All right, I'm hopeful too, because this was set for an exam today, and I just don't want us to further delay the exam beyond the May 20th date, because it's just getting too far away, and I'd like to keep these a little closer to the chest.
Right, absolutely. I believe initially when this case first came up, I believe Mr. Slusky was a APA of record, and since we're going back and forth switching courtrooms, I'll have to touch base with him and see what's going on, because I know he's gone to the office to conduct discovery and to send it out to defense. So I'm going to find out where he's at in terms of this particular defendant.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
Just Mr. Defense Counsel, in the interim, if it's getting closer to May 20th and you have some concerns about outstanding discovery, I'm just going to ask that you get in contact with the appropriate prosecutors so that we can move forward on May 20th. Okay?
Understood.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are all set.
Tammy,
Yes.
I just checked in at 8:30. I have a 1-month-old. I have to go nurse him on Finley. Do you want me to come back?
No.
First, show us the 1-month-old.
Oh, my husband has him. He's crying. I can have him bring him. I really want to see him, but he's not.
I think you want to do it right now.
We can do it right now, and then you'll be all set.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. Calling case number 2056572, the people of the state of Michigan versus Ronald Finley. The defendant is charged with count 1, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault, count 2 domestic violence. This case is scheduled for a probable cause hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Your Honor, Darian Fortier on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court, Leanna Belcher, P80177 on behalf of Mr. Finley.
And Mr. Finley is out on bond?
That's my understanding, Your Honor. I have not been able to make contact with him. There was not a phone number provided on the order for appointment. I did send him a letter to the address that was provided, and I have yet to hear back from him.
Okay, for the purposes of today's proceeding, are you requesting that his presence be waived?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so ordered. Madam Prosecutor, do you have any any updated contact information
So
that you can provide?
Unfortunately, this file is so new that it wasn't actually up from the typist yet when I was in the office last. I should be able to have it on probably Saturday. I'm gonna run into the office briefly and I'd be able to get discovery to Ms. Belcher and also hopefully some contact information if she hasn't heard from her client at that point.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so in the interim, what we're going to do is adjourn for a new PCC on May 20th at 8:30.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, and the bond will continue in the interim.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great day.
You too.
You too, and congratulations on your baby.
Thank you so much, Judge.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody have a good day. Stay safe.
That's it for you?
I'm done, Judge.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good
Okay.
to see you.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Very good, very good.
Oh, awesome. Who are you checking in on?
Checking in on Mr. Reese. He is he's in lockup.
Okay.
I've called the jail. I'm just waiting on them to call us up. So I'm waiting on, I have 2 Burgos and Mr. Reese. So as soon as I see the jail pop up, we'll call the cases.
Okay.
Colin Duplessis.
Yes,
Calling
hi,
case-
ready.
Hi, calling case number 2056564. The people of the state of Michigan versus Tevin Michael Duplessis. The defendant is charged with count 1, weapons carrying concealed, count 2, weapons, firearms, possession by felon, count 3, weapons, felony firearm, habitual offender, 3rd offense notice. This is scheduled for a probable cause hearing this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Ben Denham with For the People.
And good morning, Your Honor. Gabi Silver appearing on behalf of Mr. Duplessis. I would ask the court to waive his presence.
Thank you.
He
So
is
ordered.
on-
He's out on bond?
He's out on bond, Judge, and I stopped him at 8:30 this morning. He was about to come in the courthouse. So he
Thank you.
is on bond and not coming to the courthouse today.
Okay, thank you. I will waive his presence for the purpose of today's proceeding. Have you received discovery,
Your Honor,
Madam Defense?
no, as it relates to this matter, I was retained yesterday to represent Mr. Duplessis, so I haven't even requested discovery. But I can tell the court, just for general information, myself and Mr. Polk have been working with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office to kind of try to streamline the discovery process. And it is in fact true that as of now, we are not getting not in custody discovery through the channels unless an individual prosecutor decides that they will email it to us directly instead of waiting for it to go through this evidence.com. So we have no discovery. I'm not sure when we'll be able to obtain that discovery.
Okay.
And that is across the board. So we are trying to work with Mr. Bresnahan and Mr. Hindeline. And as of now, that problem is not solved. I would also ask at this time, however, I would like to email over to the court an order providing that any and all 911 calls and body-worn camera video be preserved. I'm afraid that under these circumstances, that stuff's going to disappear. So I would like the court to enter an order preserving that discovery for us.
You don't have any objection to that, do you, Mr. Denoway?
No, Your Honor. I don't know if there's 911 calls, but I think there certainly should be body cam.
Yeah, I don't know what there is and what
I'm
there
just
isn't.
wondering.
But
Okay.
I want to preserve
Well,
whatever there
I
is.
agree with Ms. Silver. That's certainly an important issue, and I have already emailed the officer in charge this morning regarding the body cams, so that people share the concern.
So if
Okay.
it's all right with the court, maybe afterwards I can speak with Tammy and get an email, and I can email over an order to preserve those records.
And I certainly, she can use my stamp, and that will be signed, if you will, via that stamp, because it is an important thing that we don't want to come back here in May and at the, towards the end of May, and officers have not preserved matters because discovery pieces, because they feel as though it wasn't something that was specifically requested. So anything that may be relevant, whether it's there or not, I certainly think it's important to safeguard that in this delayed time frame. So I definitely approve that. We need to assign a new PCC date. We're looking at May 20th. Does that comport with your calendar?
That's fine, Judge.
Okay, so May 20th at 8:30 for new PCC, and the bond will continue.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
very
you.
much. Ben, would you like to see that order? I asked Mr. Dunaway if he'd like to see that order before I forward it to the court.
I mean, is it
Ben?
the standard stuff?
Yeah, it's just gonna
I
say we
think I
want
can.
to.
I think I can trust you if there's no surprises. You know what I mean?
No surprises, Ben, I promise, other than the case is gonna
Okay,
be dismissed.
it's fine then.
No surprise. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Gabby.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Which case were you on?
I'm here on Yolanda Dillard.
Okay, we can call that one. There's a special prosecutor on those. Can someone stand in for Mr. Cartwright?
This is Deb Carley. I have Dillard and Watson.
Right, I'm trying to find someone to stand in on the Watson case because I
Oh,
didn't have
Watson.
an attorney. Yeah.
Got it.
Asking for a defense attorney or a prosecutor, I'm sorry.
A defense attorney to stand in on a case because we have a special prosecutor.
That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here to help with.
Okay, I'm gonna need you for, let me look his name up and then I can tell you for sure. It's a W. Cartwright. Give me just a second. Attorney appointed is a William Cartwright. But that's on the, I'm gonna call this other case first. So calling parties on Yolanda Dillard, case number 2055883. The people of the state of Michigan versus Yolanda Michelle Dillard. The defendant is charged with count 1, embezzlement from a vulnerable adult, $1,000 or more, but less than $20,000. This is scheduled for a probable cause hearing this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Deborah Carley appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's Office for the People.
And good morning, Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit by Alexandria Poole for Miss Yolanda Dillard.
Good morning. Okay, Miss Dillard is out on bond, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And for the purposes of today's proceedings, are you requesting that her presence be waived?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So ordered. So it's set for a PCC today. Obviously, under the circumstances, we need to assign a new PCC date. That would be May 20th. That would be.
Said that he looked up like, yes, I did. They opened that. Oh my God.
That would be May 20th, 2020 at 8:30.
Was he?
And,
yeah, but I mean, was he fussy or just like her?
Mr. Polk, is that you?
Yeah, y'all better watch me right over here.
Gonna have he ate 3 twice.
You know he going.
Does that sound like Mr. Polk? I can try to text him.
Please. Yes. Okay.
I need to pump and stuff.
Mr. Polk?
Sorry, I know that my mute is not on.
Okay, so as it relates to Dillard, we need to assign a new PCC date. That would be May 20th at 8:30. And I have a couple of questions with regards to discovery and whether or not you've been in contact with your client.
No, Your Honor, I have not. I have reached out to her. I did send a letter, and I have my investigator looking, trying to contact information, but I have not spoken to her.
Okay, can you assist with any contact information?
I definitely can. If you want to contact me by email, I'll contact our investigator. I know he can find her.
Okay.
Okay,
And
has
it's Carly
discovery been?
D1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so
Go
it's
ahead.
Carly D1.
CARLEYD1 at michigan.gov.
Okay. And I do understand you're from the Attorney General's office. I did make a discovery request through the online portal, but
I'll get that out today for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The bond will continue in the interim. And again, that date is May 20th for the new PCC.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the case for Watson, and then I see that we have, the jail has called in. So calling case number 2055882, the people of the state of Michigan versus Marie Annette Watson. The defendant is charged with count 1, embezzlement from a vulnerable adult, $1,000 or more, but less than $20,000. This is scheduled for a probable cause conference.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Deborah Carley appearing on behalf of the people from the Attorney General's office.
I'm sorry, Miss Tammy, is this the case you need me to stand in on?
I'm sorry. It is. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. Beth Greenberg Morrow, appearing on behalf of Ms. Watson. My P number is 38897. I understand the attorney of record is William Cartwright, who is not present today. May I inquire as to whether the court has information as to if Ms. Watson is in custody?
Madam Clerk?
She is
As
not in
far as I'm
custody.
Out. She is out.
Then on behalf of Ms. Watson, I would ask the court's permission to waive her presence this morning and adjourn.
So ordered. Thank you. So ordered. And the new PCC date is going to be in line with what we've been assigning, is going to be May 20th, 2020 at 8:30. And I know that you're not the attorney of record. I thank you for standing in for Mr. Cartwright. I'm just going to hope that there'll be a tendering of discovery in the meanwhile, since we've got this lag between today's date and May 20th, and the bond is going to continue.
May I please inquire as to the prosecutor, either her email or her phone number, and I will give that information to Mr. Cartwright to get discovery.
Sure. It's Carly D1, CARLEY D1 at michigan.gov. And I'll make contact with him as well and send the discovery out today.
And could I please have that case number again? Because I don't see it on the docket that I'm trying to work.
Is 2055882.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you all set, Ms. Carley?
I'm all set. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Stay safe.
Have a nice day. Thank you, Tammy.
You too.
Thank you. I'm not sure.
Hey, Beth. Beth? Hey, it's Arnie.
Yes, Arnie.
Are you standing in for attorneys that are not present on these matters? I know you just did. I don't know.
I am here from the Wayne County Criminal Defense Bar Association to assist with attorneys who are not present. Either they haven't received notice, or they're not able to Zoom in, or there's some other confusion, but in general, yes.
Okay, 1 second. Tammy?
Yes.
Has Mr. Banta checked in on Alizawi?
He has not, but I'm actually just getting ready to call him.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Judge. I don't know if you heard me earlier.
Good morning. I did, but I was on mute.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure how we get to jail. I see we have a prisoner there. Hi. Mr. Banta? Hi, this is Tina.
Good morning. We have Mr. Burgos from Division 2.
Are you representing an Al-Azab? Okay, that's good for an exam this morning. I mean, is he's out? We just need you to call in. Do you have capability to call in on the Zoom line? Okay. Okay, so I just need you to call in on the line and then we can just get an adjourned date. Do you need the number? Okay. Give me just a second and I'll call the jail. It is 360-233-0000. Mm-hmm. Okay, no problem. Thank you. All right, bye. Hi, can you turn the audio on? Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure if that's Mr. Bantus is going to call in about 5 minutes, Mr. Chambers.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson.
And I'm trying to get him to turn the audio on in the jail.
Good morning. We have Mr. Burgos
Thank
from
you.
Division 2.
Is Mr. Winter still on? Go. I can't see if he's still on or not.
Mr. Winters, I do not see that he's connected.
Yeah, he was on earlier. Give me just a second.
Oh man, why is still in the late?
Hi, this is Tina. Can you zoom back? Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. He's gonna call right back in. Miss Baker, which case are you on?
I'm here for Jerry Avant. He is not in custody.
Avant? Okay, give me just a second. We'll do it.
Okay,
as soon
thank
as
you.
Gino Pup. Gino Puppy Dog. Thank you for being a good boy. Thank you. So,
Mr. Denowith.
Is that who
Yeah.
it is? Yeah.
yes, Your Honor.
Can we see your dog?
Aw,
I can't, you can see, Tammy?
I can see him. Yeah, he's a cutie. We have
Oh,
Mr.
I
Winter.
Okay, all right. I didn't get a chance to see the dog, but okay. Yeah, let's call that, is it Burgos?
It is. Calling parties on Julian Burgos. Case number 2056570, the people of the state of Michigan versus Julian Tony Burgos, spelled Burgos. The defendant is charged with count 1, carjacking, count 2, stolen property, receiving and concealing motor vehicle, count 3, motor vehicle unlawful driving away, count 4, police officer fleeing, third-degree vehicle code, habitual offender, third offense notice. This is scheduled for a probable cause hearing this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Judge Archer and staff. My name is Winters, William Winters, P35975. I appear on behalf of Mr. Burgos.
Thank you. Mr. Prosecutor or Madam Prosecutor?
Reggie, that's you.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court, Reginald Andrier, P number 80354, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning. Okay, Mr. Burgos, could I trouble you to state your name?
Julian Burgos.
Okay, good morning. Today is the date and time set for PCC in this matter. Has there been any contact, Mr. Winters, that you've had with your client, and or do you have discovery?
The answer to both questions is in the negative, Your Honor. I have not had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Burgos yet because of the health emergency, and as well as I have no discovery in this case whatsoever.
Okay, Mr. Prosecutor, how can that be made available, I guess is the better question.
Can you say something?
Again, Your Honor, it's a matter of the PCC not having been conducted yet. Once the PCC is conducted, Mr. Winters' request will be processed and discovery will be made available via the new link.
Okay,
Now,
so are you referring to today's PCC or the new PCC?
it's going through the new PCC. The PCC has to be on the record. The protective order has to be in place on the record. So, I mean, again, we're trying to iron out those kinks, see what we can do. But at this present moment, that's the process. The PCC has to be conducted. As a matter of fact, on the request form, it's even asked whether or not the PCC has been conducted, what the date was, and when the exam is set for.
Okay, so between now and May 20th, nothing can be done in terms of availability of discovery?
Not through the evidence.com website. I believe technically this case is general. It's a Pat 2 case, but general warrants usually handles it. So if Ben wants to chime in, I know general warrants has a different process in terms of prosecutors actually being in the FMJ right now. So I wish there was more. I wish I had more information. Like I said, we're going to try and conduct a Zoom meeting today with my team to figure out what else can be done. But again, as far as I know right now, the PCC has to pass before those orders for discovery will be processed.
Okay, so this, what we're doing here today is basically
Adjourning
not
PCC.
satisfactory.
That is correct. Unless we want to, I mean, again, we can't waive this presence, or Mr. Winters wants to proceed with a PCC, we can go on the record as a PCC. I can email a.
Well, we are on the record.
I can email a PCC form to Tammy with the order checked for protective discovery, digital discovery, that it won't be shared with third parties. And then then Mr. Winters can actually go and request the discovery and say the PCC has passed, and this was a date and time set for the PCC. But again, Mr. Winters just.
Madam Clerk,
that's fine. That's fine.
Wait, hold on one second. Madam Clerk, could I trouble you to call the jail?
Yes.
All right, I'm waiting for Mr. McGee. Who did you say the second person was? I'm not sure what state was. I seen this in Party.com.
Hey, could I ask my lawyer something?
Hold on one second, please.
All right, let's start with Mr. McGee.
Okay, 461. Okay, the second over there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My only concern, I know that you've indicated what you're dealing with, but I just, I do not want there to be such a long period of time with no possibility of discovery. If there's any way that we can work this out, we are on the record, the defendant is present. And under these circumstances, we do need to set a new PCC so that the discovery can actually be tendered and there can be an intelligent review, an opportunity for an intelligent review of that discovery, and an opportunity for Mr. Winters to have some level of contact, even if via Zoom, with his client. I just don't want us to have so many cases that we are looking at relatively brand new come mid-May. But I understand the constraints that we're dealing with. And Mr. Winters, you were getting ready to say something, and I think I inadvertently cut you off.
No problem. Thank you very much, Your Honor. As far as we're concerned, we can consider today's date the PCC and set the exam. I know that Mr. Burgos wants a speedy disposition of this case, and I know he's at some point going to want the court to address the issue of bond. We'd feel much more inclined to accede to reasonable continuances if Mr. Burgos was out on some type of a bond rather than being confined.
Okay, so there's a couple of things presented here. So instead of assigning a new PCC date, what we're going to do is set this matter for an exam. He is in custody at this moment, so that exam would be next week.
That's
is there
fine.
a date? Is there? We typically would look at, today is the 15th, so the 22nd. Is that a date that works for you at 9 a.m.?
Yes, Your Honor, that's fine.
Okay, so as for now, we're setting this for not a new PCC, but for.
Hey, look, Lahoo. She wants you to log off. Hold up. Can you log off, Darby? She wants you, Darby, to log off. Go ahead, log off, Darby. Log off, Darby. Log off, Darby. Take them out. Turn off the connection.
Reese, you're in here. This is your courtroom right here.
Deputy? Deputy, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Could I trouble you just for a moment to silence the microphone?
Yes.
Because we have another in custody we're on the record on right now. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to set this for an examination on April 22nd, which is next Wednesday, and that's going to be set for 9 a.m. And just so that there's a clear understanding here, the way that the technology is set up, Mr. Burgos, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm on.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me get this out. The way that it's set up right now is such that when we return for the examination, you will have an opportunity to have confidential communication with your attorney through what we're going to call breakout rooms. And that, I believe, was set up through our technology department today, and we'll have that fine-tuned such that we can proceed with an examination, and those safeguards should be in place. And I'm hoping that there will, the prosecution will have whatever witnesses they deem necessary available and prepared to also testify. Now, if we are going to proceed to an examination, I do have to get an understanding, Mr. Winters, from Mr. Burgos that he's waiving his right to an in-person examination.
Judge, I'd like to discuss that more with Mr. Burgos at this point, but preliminarily, we understand the court's concern. But yes, I'd like to give you an answer about that after I talk to Ms. Burgos.
Okay, so on April 22nd, that will again be revisited prior to the start of the examination, just to make sure that everybody understands what their rights are here. And I know you wanted to address bond.
Yes, Your Honor, but I know that Mr. Burgos had his hand up. I know he probably wanted to address the court, and I'm going to allow him an opportunity to do that if he can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I want they drug me out my house when I was sick. The police drug me out my house. The guy even said that he didn't see nobody carjacked him or nothing, and they drug me
Okay,
out my house.
hold
for
on
no
one
reason.
second. Hold on one second. Mr. Burgos, I want you to
Yes.
understand that right now, this is an open forum, if you will. So you're not just
I'm sorry.
speaking, at this moment, you're not just speaking to Mr. Winters, your attorney. We all can hear you, and anything you say can and will be used against you. We have the prosecutor on, the court is on, and actually this is live streaming right now. So the public is a party to this as well. It's really important for you to understand what your rights are to maintain the integrity of this process. So if there's something
Yes,
that you find really important, vital to share with your attorney, please keep in mind that he is going to be in contact with you at the very least via Zoom under the constraints that we're dealing with, and that should be very soon.
That is
Yes,
true. We
ma'am.
appreciate that, Your Honor. Thank you. Would the court consider, the bond, as I understand, is $70,000 cash or surety, 10%. I know that Mr. Burgos understands that this is a serious offense, but to my knowledge, although he's got some previous contacts, he has no previous convictions. I don't know whether Mr. Andrio or Mr. Denowith can correct me on that, but I do not believe that he's been previously convicted of any offenses.
Mr. Prosecutor?
Well, Your Honor, I'm blind right now. I don't have a file either. I don't know if Ben has one. I understand that Ben is going to contact our office to see if we can get discovery rushed since Mr. Burgos is in custody. And I just received a CC of an email from Mr. Denowith. So we're working on that right now behind the scenes, trying to get discovery of Mr. Winters so we can make this exam happen next week. However, our position is that is Mr. Burgos in fact waiving his right to appear personally in court?
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to discuss before our previous exam. I don't know if that's necessary to do today, but at the point of the exam, which will be next week, we can put that waiver on the record.
The issue is that at that point, we would already have had our witnesses go out and download Zoom or get to Zoom. We have to have the OIC go out and track down the victim of the case.
No, I understand. Well, for purposes of today, and I hope Mr. Burgos will not have an objection to conducting this via video as opposed to waiting to do an in-person exam, which could be at least 30 days away. So I'm going to ask Mr. Burgos if he will consent to doing the exam by video as opposed to doing it in person. Did you
Mr.
understand me,
Burgos?
Mr.
Yes, I understand you, but I want to know, like, my bond is like ridiculous high, like, for no reason.
Well, these are
Like,
two
it's
separate
just-
questions now. Two separate questions. One is to do
I
the,
do not want to waive my prelim. I want to hold my prelim.
understood. Do you want to do it in person and wait for 30 days or so, or do it on video like we're doing today?
If I wait 30 days, can I do like at least a low bond to fight it from home?
As again, that's going to be a separate question. It's going to be a separate issue for the judge to decide. But for today's purpose, the only question is whether you would consider consenting, giving up your right to have this exam in person, and we would do it by video, much like we're doing it today.
What's the difference?
One is we're going to be on a TV screen. The other is going to be live people in a courtroom.
I do.
I think that Mr. Burgos may need an opportunity to speak to counsel before. I don't want Mr. Burgos to feel as though he
Fair enough.
is on the spot making a decision here that may impact, you know, what
Fair enough.
he's
We
facing.
understand. Thank you, Judge.
I just don't want nobody to get misunderstood or anything over the internet. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody to get misunderstood or what's going on or with anything going on with the case or anything. I don't want nobody to get misunderstood. I know y'all, whatever y'all do, but I don't want nobody else, you know what I mean, get misunderstood or internet connection or anything.
Okay, so
Wow.
it sounds to me like perhaps he is not waiving his right to have that in-person examination. So we do not anticipate that the courthouse is going to be open until May. The first available date to have an exam would be May 20th. And I know that there are some burning issues here that you want to address, Mr. Burgos, and your attorney does as well regarding your bond. But we have to attack, these are two separate issues as your attorney was suggesting. So if you want an in-person examination, you are within your right to demand that. And that would happen on May 20th at 9 a.m. So as it relates to bond, I believe I'm hearing that the bond is currently $70,000. Was there a 10% on that, Mr. Winters?
No.
Cash assurity, I'm sorry, 70,000 cash assurity.
Okay, and you're requesting what specifically?
Perhaps even $7,000, 10%, Your Honor. We know this is a serious charge, but the man's presumed to be innocent.
True, that is true, but the allegations are very serious, with the lead offense allegation being carjacking. And I have to, whenever, notwithstanding the fact that we are in an unprecedented situation with this health crisis, the court still has to consider, in particular, the second prong of, oh goodness, can you hear me?
No, he's skipping.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the court needs to consider the safety of the community at large, along with whether or not you would return. I do recall making a notation that one of the offenses was a fleeing and eluding. Again, just allegations, but the court has to take into consideration all of these things when addressing any amendment to the bond. The bond, again, is $70,000 cash assurity, and Mr. Prosecutor, I'm not sure exactly if it's Mr. Denowitz or Mr. Andrew, but what is your response?
Okay, I guess. Okay, Ben.
There's been a request to modify or reduce the bond. And so I'm just curious as to what the prosecution's response is to this. The reason why I think it's important to hear from the prosecution is because you are far more intimate with this file than I am, particularly because I'm zooming in and I don't have even a file before me right now, and I'm listening to the charges and just looking at that alone.
Your Honor, this is Ben Denowitz for the people, and I think you're totally right about the issue. And the person that had all the information and was there when the officer swore out the warrant is the magistrate that set the current bond. So I'd ask the court to order a DSU referral, and we can get the full story of what's going on here. I mean, carjacking is one of the few crimes where the court doesn't even have to set any bond whatsoever. So I think for a carjacking, armed robbery, homicide, that type of crime, you know, those people should still be in the jail in the prosecutor's view, even given the current health crisis. So I don't think the court should overrule the magistrate without more.
I'm sorry? Mr. Burgos, did you say something?
Yeah, can I get like a 10% with tether or something? It's like, it's ridiculous, man. There's people sitting here, like, it's like, it's ridiculous, cold.
Okay. Again, Mr. Denowitz is correct. In order for there to be an adjustment to the bond, there needs to be some level of determination that the magistrate who initially heard this matter abused their discretion somehow. And again, the bond is set at $70,000 cash assurity, given the serious allegation and the number of offenses. I am not comfortable with altering the bond at this particular juncture. We have an exam date that's set now for May 20th.
For May 20th? Why so far?
Oh, because, so in order for you to have an exam next week, that would have been via Zoom because the court is not open. There's no one in the court except for
the court. In the court, but at least can I get a 10% on my bond? At least have a time to fight in the world?
And I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
I said, at least can I get at least a 10% on a 70,000 cash? Can I get a 10% at least?
Okay, so again, just so you understand what the court's taking into consideration, I have to somehow say to make some sort of determination that the magistrate who heard all the details, all of the allegations, if you will, that they abused their discretion in setting the bond as they did. $70,000 cash or surety is what the bond currently is. And the offenses, the allegations, while I understand they are just allegations, the allegations are extremely serious. So notwithstanding the fact that we are faced with an extremely unprecedented health crisis, I am not comfortable amending or reducing the bond at this juncture. I don't have enough information that would lead me to a conclusion that the magistrate abused their discretion. Yeah,
Right,
Mr. Winters?
I understand that, but y'all just going off what hearsay, he say. I was in my house when he drugged me out of my house.
Okay,
When the police
all
drugged me
right.
out of my house.
So again, I would just caution.
Can I at least get a 10% with a tether bond?
You gotta stop interrupting the judge.
I would just caution, Mr. Burgos, I would just caution you that anything you say can and will be used against you. And so it probably is a better idea for you to discuss in private, in confidential communications with your attorney, anything that you want to address with the court. We unfortunately are in the situation now where you are going to have to contact, or your attorney is going to contact you via Zoom. He can't even get into the jail to physically see you, from what I understand. Is that correct still, Mr. Winters?
That is my understanding, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is the situation we're dealt with, and it's unfortunate, but it's a little bit out of everyone's control, and we are doing the best we can. The examination date is going to be May 20th, 2020. And given
That's too far. That's too far. Why can't I do it in 2 weeks? Over the computer then. That's too far for me. Man, come on, man. That's too far.
In 2
Y'all
weeks,
even y'all don't even have my file. Y'all don't even have my file. Y'all don't even know what's going on. I got the right to talk. They don't even know what's going on. I didn't even do nothing. That was in my house. Like, come on now, man. Come on, man. It's crazy. Y'all play my all the way back to the next month or for a prelim.
The courts, the building's not open.
Right, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. The building's not open. They don't even got my, none of them got my file. They don't even know what's going on. They're going off what they say.
Mr. Burgos? Mr. Burgos, what I need you to do is
10%.
Mr. Burgos, your attorney, Mr. Winters, is going to be in contact with you. The date for the examination as it currently stands is May 20th at 9 a.m. The discovery, I want there to be a real strong effort for that discovery to be tendered in a timely fashion such that Mr. Winters can not only review that discovery, but can review that with his client prior to the date of May 20th. Deputy, are you present,
Yes, I'm here.
Deputy?
Yes, we
Okay,
are. We are.
so the bond is going to continue, and Mr. Burgos, Mr. Winters is going to be in contact with you, okay?
I don't want to hold my prelim to August to May 20. Why can't I do it in 2 weeks?
Because the courthouse is not open. Deputy?
Okay, the courthouse is not open. That means y'all just give anybody, y'all give motherfuckers $20,000, 10% bonds for taking the murder case.
I can't understand what he's saying.
Deputy, if you can hear me, we have finished.
All right, thank you.
With Mr. Burgos. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge Archer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We need the other one turned on.
Ernie, are you here for my case too?
I am. Only reason I'm on here.
All right.
That case is ready, right?
What case is that?
Calling. Mr. Reese, can you hear us?
The volume's real low on it.
Let the deputy know.
Yes, ma'am. Can you turn the volume up? He did something he left out. The volume is real low. We can't hardly hear each other.
Stop.
He said he'd be here in a second.
Okay.
I can kind of hear you, but it's real low, but I can hear you talking.
No.
Mr. Polk, how you doing?
Very good. So
Where's your mask at?
I'm
I'm gonna try. Can you hear me now if I speak loud?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Calling case number 2056502, the people of the state of Michigan versus David Scott Reese. The defendant is charged with count 1, breaking and entering a building with intent, count 2, breaking and entering a building with intent, habitual offender, fourth offense notice. This is scheduled for an exam today.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Ben Dunaway for the people.
good morning, man. Please, this honorable court, Larry Polk on behalf of Mr. Scott.
And sir, could you please state your name? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Polk.
David Scott Reese, present by way of video. My P number is 48164.
Okay, good morning to you, Mr. Polk. Mr. Reese, could you please state your name?
David Scott Reese.
Okay, good morning. Today is the date and time set for your examination. Obviously, as you can see, we are in the midst of a health crisis that has precluded us the capability of holding your examination in the courtroom as we normally would. Counsel, Mr. Polk, what's your pleasure here today?
Well, Judge, we're going to be asking for an adjourned date.
I'm sorry, I really can't hear. I'm having trouble hearing.
There was an issue.
Wait, hold on, Mr. Polk, we're getting outside noise. I don't know where from.
Your Honor, I can see someone named Yolanda, Richard Banta. I'll have their mics on.
Okay, anyone that is not in this particular proceeding, if you could mute your mic, that might be helpful. Okay, Mr. Polk, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm saying, Judge, we're going to be asking for an adjourned date. There was I believe, some confusion as it relates to my client's bond, and I'd like to try to get it straightened out so that he can be released and get back to work.
What is his bond currently?
It's I believe $1 and a tether.
I wonder what the delay is.
Well, the issue is that the tethers are 2 or 3 weeks out. That's my understanding, that they're not getting tethers because they're using so many of them. But it was my thought that his bond was $1 so that he could post it and get out. Prior to that, the judge had given him a personal bond with a tether. And then we were like, well, no, because of what's going on with the tether, if you could just make it a cash bond, then he could be released. And it appears that that's where the confusion has come in.
Okay.
So in the court,
Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any objection to the removal of the tether requirement? It sounds like, based on what Mr. Polk is saying, and I vaguely remember this, it sounds like that tether requirement the attempt was to remove that, and the defendant would just post $1 and be released. So just so that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any objection to, if that is in the system as a GPS tether to be attached, to the removal of that requirement?
Your Honor, I feel compelled to object for the simple fact that Prosecutor Kim Worthy emailed the entire office on April 9th, 2020 at about 3 o'clock and said, there have been persistent rumors that the jail authorities are no longer doing tethers or they have run out of them. This is untrue. Please do not be swayed by this. So, you know, Mr. Polk could be right, but I have, you know, the head person of my office telling me that's not true. So I certainly don't feel like I'm in a position to concede that fact to him when my boss is telling me it's not true. But Yeah, we basically tried to do everything to make Mr. Reese get out of jail. So with that record made, I guess I would leave it to the court's discretion, because certainly it was everybody's intention that Mr. Reese no longer be in the Wayne County Jail.
Okay, in terms of his background, I see that he's a HAB. Is there any concern as it relates to whether or not he would reappear?
I think, honestly, I mean, looking at his record, I think he almost must have a drug problem. He's about a HAB 15. They're all for the same thing, breaking into buildings and stealing things. And I think he should be out given the health crisis and basically the nonviolent nature of his continuous and repeated offenses. But one problem I see is he committed his latest offense wearing a mask that was described, I think, as a medical mask, which now everyone's being told to wear. So it's a bit like he's taking advantage, and you know, the people were fine with him being on home tether and not being out in the community. But if it's a situation where he's going to be wearing a mask with everyone else wearing a mask, I think that is a danger to at least the property of the community. But
Mr. Polk, can I ask you a question? When was it that we were last on the record and that amendment was made from a personal bond?
A week ago today.
Okay. My question next would be whether or not he has some other hold.
He does not, Judge. As far as I know, he doesn't have any other holds. I believe that it's the, you know, what I was being told was that they were having issues in terms of getting those tethers. Now, if that, I have no way of verifying it, you know, and, you know, things, rumors and untruths run rampant during this particular period of time.
Okay. Deputy, are you present? Is there a deputy present?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any insight as to whether or not A, Mr. Reese has any holds, or B, what the status is of imposing the actual, getting the tether attached? This is something that was requested a week ago.
Deputy Critters, they got me down, the court gave me a.
Okay, I can check it out for you. I can go if you give me like 3 minutes.
That would really be helpful because I think it's going to make a big difference on what we do here.
Okay.
Can I speak to the judge? They got the bond wrong in the computer. She gave me a personal bond, but they got it as a cash or surety dollar bond, not a personal in the computer. But the last week, the courts gave me a personal bond, but it's not showing up as personal in the computer.
And that's not true. That's not true. That might be what you heard. The bond was set at $1. And so
Madam Clerk, is that what?
It was not a personal bond.
Madam Clerk, what does it reflect on your end?
Let's see.
Because if it was never switched to a $1.
It was switched on April 8th. It was switched to a $1 bond, and it says $1 cash bond with a GPS tether and home confinement. If defendant is not able to post bond, then exam will be held on 4/15. If bond is posted, then a PCC will be held on May 13th. But it was changed to $1.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I believe the deputy went to check the status of those two questions I asked. So if we could just hold tight for a moment. Do we have? Mr. Polk, if you could hang just for, he said he would just be a few minutes.
No, I'm fine, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
I'm at my West Side office, so I'm good.
Okay, your West Side office as opposed to, oh, you're.
I'm at home.
Okay.
I call the Avant Relaford. I believe I need someone. I need an attorney to stand in on Relaford though. Unless someone checked in that I don't know about. Did anyone check in for Jermaine Relaford?
Do you need something, Tammy?
Yeah, could you stand in on a, let's see. I don't want you to know who the attorney is. Someone was appointed on it.
The defendant's name?
Relaford, Reliford.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, let me look and see who the attorney was that was appointed real quick for you.
Mine says Kevin Briggs.
There's a co-defendant for that one too that's up, so we could do them both at the
Yeah,
same time.
that's fine. I'm just trying to get her the information.
Your Honor?
Oh, he's not. Maybe not. Is that the
Okay, for
deputy?
Mr. Reese, he had a dollar bond, tether bond.
Wait, I'm
but-
sorry. I'm sorry. Could you start again, Deputy? I'm so sorry.
Yes, Mr. Reese has a dollar tether bond, but he doesn't have the money in his account. So no one has posted that dollar bond.
So
for
that
them to
is what
start the
the,
tether process.
so our tethers are available from what you understand, Deputy?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave the bond as it is. Mr. Reese, oh,
Judge,
yes?
I would ask then, if that's the case, that you make it a personal bond with
But if it's a personal bond, doesn't that put us back into the same situation?
No, because the deputy is saying, because he hasn't posted the dollar, they don't start the tether process.
Right, but if it's a personal bond, then he has to meet with pretrial services.
That's correct. And pretrial services are not available to do that work right now. And he,
Oh, okay.
Your Honor, Gabi Silver was in the chat yesterday saying there's some type of charity that will go post like $1 bonds. So maybe, I don't know if Miss Morrow would be aware of that.
Larry, I can send that information to Larry.
All right, yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So again, Mr. Reese, just for clarification, given the health crisis that we're dealing with, your attorney has bent over backwards trying to put you in a situation where you can be released. And the best situation that everyone seems to be comfortable with is for the bond to remain at $1 to be posted, but there must also be a tether that's attached. And that bond is going to continue. And your attorney is going to look into efforts to see if that can be somehow through some charity, if that dollar can be posted and you be released with that GPS tether. I don't know that we put this on the record because it's blank on my notes here. So for purposes of setting a new date, the new exam date would, Mr. Pope, what is your pleasure with regards to that? You want a new exam date, correct?
I do, Judge.
Okay, so if that exam is going to be held in person, it would need to be May 20th, 2020. And provided he's able to make bond, then he would be, obviously not in custody, and that should work out. What's your response to that?
That's a good date for me, and there is some additional discovery that I know is necessary. There are videos with this particular case, and there is a GPS tracking disc that should be tendered to me as well. So with the fact that it's a $1 bond, I'm sure that we'll be able to work something out to get that bond posted and have Mr. Reese released.
Okay, so that new exam date again is going to be May 20th, 2020 at 9 a.m. And I think we're all set, Deputy. I think we're set. Mr. Polk, did you have anything further?
I'm fine. I don't see the deputy.
Okay.
And I didn't see my
You have
client.
another question?
Okay.
No, thank you, Deputy. Thank you for checking on the status of that information as well.
No problem, Judge.
Okay, we're all set with Mr. Reese.
Very good. Thank you very much, Judge. You and your
Thank you.
staff. Have a great day. Be safe.
You too. Stay safe.
Sure.
Okay, calling parties on Avant and Relaford. Ms. Morrow, that attorney that you're standing in for is Grant Miller.
Thank you. And is Mr. Relaford in custody or out?
Out.
And could you please tell me the charge?
I'm getting ready to read the case.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just a second. Calling case number 2056112, the people of the state of Michigan versus defendant number 1, Jerry Shamil Avant. Defendant number 2, Jermaine Martell Relaford. Defendant number 1 is charged with count 1, weapons carrying concealed, count 2, weapons, firearms, possession by felon, count 3, weapons, felony, firearm, habitual offender, second offense notice. Defendant number 2 is charged with count 4, weapons carrying concealed. This is scheduled for a probable cause hearing this morning.
Okay, appearances, please.
Ben Dunworth for the people.
Samantha Baker on behalf of Jerry Avant, P83674. Mr. Avant is not present today, but I'm waiving his presence.
Thank you. So ordered. Tell me again what this is set for today, a PCC or an exam?
PCC.
Okay, so with that being said, obviously, you know, Madam Defense Counsel, that we need to set this for a new date, and that date is going to be May 20th, 2020, unless you tell me that's a bad date for you.
That works for me.
Okay, and that will be set at 8:30 in the morning. And in the interim, I'm hopeful that discovery will not only be tendered if it hasn't already been tendered, but that would also give you an opportunity to be in contact with the defendant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
My name is Beth Greenberg Morrow. My P number is 38897. I'm appearing on behalf of Mr. Jermaine Relaford, standing in place of his attorney of record, Grant Miller. And I'm asking the court's permission to waive Mr. Relaford's presence as he is on bond.
Okay, so ordered. Thank you.
And we go along with that same probable cause adjournment date.
Okay, thank you so much. So that again will be a new PCC for May 20th, 2020 at 8:30. And likewise, as it relates to discovery and contact. Oh, I'm sorry, are you standing in? You're standing in for the attorney of record?
I am standing in for the attorney of record, Grant Miller.
Okay, thank you. So the bond is going to continue with both of these defendants in the interim, unless I hear an objection.
There is no objection to bond, Your Honor. Could I get the first attorney's name so we can send her discovery?
Samantha Baker.
Okay, thank you. And do you have an email on the State Bar website?
I do, yes.
Okay. No objection to bond. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Prosecutor Dunwith, may I please have a contact information for you, and then I will forward that to Miller.
Okay.
Email perhaps.
I'm sorry, I only have a phone number for Mr. Avant. Do you want an address for Mr. Relaford, or do you want a phone number for Mr. Avant? Maybe he can provide the phone number for his co-defendant.
I have Avant's phone number, so I can try to get Relaford's phone number and send it to you.
Okay, the phone number for
The prosecutor to me. Mr. Relaford is the defendant.
So, Ms. Morrow, for Mr. Relaford, I don't have a phone number, but if you want to call the co-defendant, maybe he could give it to you.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. So Jerry Avant's phone number is 313-989-3338.
Ms. Baker, may I please have your number? I would be more comfortable going through you as opposed to directly calling your client.
Yes, so my phone number is 734-516-5348.
And I was actually talking about discovery, Mr. Depp. What is your email for discovery purposes? So that we can get discovery.
My email?
Yes, please.
Oh, BDENEWET@waynecounty.com. It's already, the video's already uploaded to evidence.com, so you guys will get this tomorrow.
Very good.
Okay.
Or Grant Miller will get it tomorrow. We won't send it to you, I guess.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Tammy, how are we doing?
You're getting there. Calling parties on Al Azawi.
I'm here.
Okay, is Mr. Chambers, there's Mr.
I
Chambers.
am, Tammy. Could you call my case, I guess, in conjunction with that? I believe technically it's a different case number, but my client is the complainant.
There is, I'll call, I'm gonna call Mr. Al Azawi's case and then I'll call yours, okay?
Thank you.
Calling case number 2055734, the people of the state of Michigan versus Karar Al Azawi. The defendant is charged with count 1 carjacking, count 2 stolen property, receiving and concealing motor vehicle, count 3 assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault. This is scheduled for an exam this morning. Also attached to this case is case number 2000012, Abbas Ishmael. And this
How do you
is for
spell that last name?
Ismael.
Thank you. Okay, and that one is scheduled for an exam as well?
It's a contempt hearing, Your Honor.
It's a what?
Contempt hearing.
Oh, okay, thank you. Appearances, please.
Ben Denworth for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Richard Bant on behalf of Mr. Al Azawi.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the Honorable Court, Arnie Chambers on behalf of Mr. Ishmael.
Your Honor,
Okay, the
Your Honor, if I
defendants
may.
are, wait, I'm sorry, if I could just first, before we proceed, the defendants, I don't believe are in custody. For purposes of today's proceeding, both defense attorneys, are you requesting to waive the appearance of your clients?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So ordered. Go ahead,
just
Mr.
so-
Ban.
Your Honor, Mr. Chambers' client is the complaining witness. He had a witness detainer. He's not a defendant, just so the court knows.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That was the history I was gonna put on the record.
Okay.
Whenever the court wanted.
Your Honor, with regards to Mr. Al Azawi, we had reached an agreement with regards to a plea. In the interim, of course, this has all happened. All I'm asking for now is an adjournment until May 20th or whenever the earliest time you're going to schedule this thing.
Okay, May 20th is the earliest date. May 20th, 2020 we'll schedule that for 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we'll coin that an exam date.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chambers, you wanted to say?
Well, I was just gonna say, Your Honor, my client, Mr. Ishmael, is a 15-year-old complainant in this matter. I was assigned on March 5th when Mr. Ishmael was in custody. The prior day or two, he had been arrested, I believe absurdly, while legally, with a witness detainer. Mr. Ishmael failed to appear at a preliminary examination date. The defendant in this matter is his 17-year-old lifelong friend. My client, as I said, is 15, did not wish to prosecute on this case. For whatever reason, despite the fact that people don't appear in 36 district court all the time, the authorities decided to go arrest my client. They arrested my client, who was terrified in Wayne County Jail, and was posted a bond and then appeared at the next preliminary examination date, of which was adjourned upon all parties' agreement for further discussion with the prosecutor's office on how to resolve this matter. Upon meeting with multiple members of the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, we came to an all-party agreed potential resolution, which could not be done until a later date and time, which was set for today. My client will appear if needed in court. I can go further with regards to the arrest of my 15-year-old client, why I think they did it. I think it's absurd, but technically there's a contempt hearing in this matter. So waive his presence. He obviously can't appear in court today.
Okay, so thank you for that background. What we'll do is this will trail along. I think it's appropriate for it to trail along. Right. Because even though there is a representation from counsel, Mr. Banta, for the defendant, that there will be a resolution by way of a plea, until that is actually on the record, I'm hesitant to release the requirement that Mr. Chambers, that your client as well be there. So
I understand.
I'd like to just have this trail along with the date of May 20th, 2020 for that hearing, which I don't believe, based on the representations, will even be necessary.
Is May 20th kind of optimistic?
It is, but what can we do?
Yeah, that's true. You're right, exactly. Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful that we will be up and running. There's a possibility that we will be. In the event that we clearly know that we won't be, we will have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Well, thank you, Judge Archer.
Thank you. And the bond is going to continue. And we are all set on these two matters.
All right.
And that bond continues, I assume, for both?
Yes, for both. I'm sorry. Bond will continue for both defendants.
Be safe, Arnie.
Yep, you too.
Judge.
Thank you.
Yep.
You too, Beth.
Hi, Richard.
Take care.
Thanks, Tammy.
Madam
Thank
Clerk, how
you.
are we doing?
We just need to put some adjournments on, and I think I need Mrs. Greenberg Morrow to stand in for these attorneys. I'm not sure where she went.
I'm right here.
Okay, it's all of a sudden you guys are on the big screen.
Does everybody realize that it's actually snowing outside?
No, and I don't need to know that. No, I don't want to know that.
I'm very serious.
Oh. Ms. Morrow, I need you to stand in for Jeanette Smith for E. Michael Morris. He was having trouble logging into the Zoom. So
I believe
the defendant is Jeanette Smith.
Yes.
And the lawyer is Michael
Morris, E. Michael Morris.
E.
I believe
Michael
that's
Morris.
an attorney general case.
Okay. Must be another attorney.
And I apologize, I'm getting this really old docket, and so this case isn't even showing on what I have, but I'm happy to try to reach out to the lawyer when we're done.
Okay, yeah, I've spoken with him. He wasn't able to log in.
Okay, he tried.
Prosecutor Riggs, is that from the AG's office?
Richmond Riggs has been an attorney general as long as I've been a prosecutor, so I believe that's an attorney general case.
Okay, so we may have to, I don't know what to do with that then, since they didn't call in.
He was here early, somebody from the AG's office was here earlier.
But
Deb Carley
yeah,
was here.
Yeah, she was here on her cases, so I doubt she knew anything about this one. I spoke with her about the other two previously this week. I'll see if I can call. The next case is Ara Green. And that attorney appointed on that is Joe Irby.
Could you spell the last name, please?
The defendant or the attorney?
The lawyer, Joe.
IRBY.
IRBY. Okay,
Yes, first Joe, J-O, last name Irby.
okay.
I need, Scott Braun is the defendant.
And the last name is spelled?
Braun.
Okay,
And the attorney on that is Dwayne Johnson.
okay. Oh, I see that one on the docket. It looks like it's scheduled for exam.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I think there's still confusion because I'm having several attorneys call in and they look on the court's website and it still says that if they're out of custody, that they'll just be notified of an adjourn date.
Yes, there's been a lot of confusion with that. Just
And then
why
this
we're
other
trying to,
and I actually tried calling these attorneys and no one is.
I'm happy to cover and set this over, and I'm assuming these individuals are all out of custody.
There's Arthur. I think there's one more in custody.
Yeah,
for-
I'm getting ready to. Okay, I don't know where he's at, Arthur Williams. It's a competency matter, and it was scheduled for a review today.
And who's the attorney on that one?
I've got Wright Blake.
Yes, it is right, Blake. And he probably was not aware because this was one of those cases that was just adjourned last month and we just adjourned them. He would have been notified, but again, I can try to call him again real quick just to see.
Was a competency report prepared?
I don't have anything new. The last thing is that he was admitted on October 10th. His ISD treatment order expires on April 4th, 2020.
So I believe he's hit his 15 months, and the last report that I have indicates his 15 months expires April 4th, and they will send a final report. So that's basically what we're waiting for. Then the people would seek to probably civilly commit with Mr. Williams based on the severity of the charges.
So should we just adjourn it and I'll see if I can, we can notify Mr. Wright Blake at the next date?
That would, and it might be appropriate to just put it over a week, since he would have more information as to whether he's received a report, whether he's had contact with Mr. Williams, so forth.
Yeah, I can contact the forensic center and forward anything they send me to Mr. Blake.
Okay. Give me 1 second to see if I can get a hold of the AG's office. And then we can put these on the records and be finished.
Ben, do you have information as to whether Arthur Williams is in custody?
I think he's at a treatment center of some sort.
Okay.
Hi, is this Virginia Ridge? Hi, this is Tammy Jones calling from Judge Archer's office at 36 District Court. And there was a matter scheduled this morning that if you could.
Beth, his treatment order expired April 4th. I don't know what that would mean as to his in custody status, but I guess it could have possibly changed. He was in custody until April 4th, though.
Okay. I think that's a good reason to put this over so Mr. Blake can be here personally and give some information if he knows where he is, if he's been in touch with him. Even if it's put over till tomorrow. And Ben, are you on the other two that the AG's not on?
I'm actually speaking with AG, so he's going to zoom in.
Okay.
Can I just give you the number that you're gonna need to call in?
I still have Era Green and Scott Braun. Those would be the only two.
And I said I would stand in for those two lawyers, assuming the individuals are not in custody.
233-0000.
I know that Green's not in custody because I appeared the last time and he wasn't in custody. Braun was moved from Judge Giles, and I don't really know why they moved it. But I mean, there's no way he should be in custody for possession of less than 25 grams and not even a habitual.
Okay, what is the charge on Green?
Green is a robbery not armed.
Okay. Great, thank you. Ben, your email does not have an H.
No, the county only does 8 letters.
Okay. I thought I heard that wrong and I looked back on it and I couldn't see if I.
Okay. We
Yes.
can do these. AG Riggs is gonna be zooming in shortly. So calling, Scott Braun, last name spelled B-R-A-U-N, case number 20056477701. Defendant is charged with count 1, controlled substance possession, narcotic or cocaine less than 25 grams. This is scheduled for a examination this morning.
Okay, thank you. Appearances, please.
Ben Denowith for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Beth Greenberg Morrow. My P number is 38897. I'm appearing in place of Attorney of Record Dwayne Johnson, and the defendant, Mr. Braun, is not in custody. I would
Okay,
ask the
perfect.
court's permission to waive his presence.
Okay, so ordered. Thank you. With today being the date and time set for an examination and the defendant is out on bond, obviously we need to set a new exam date, and that exam date is going to be May 20th.
Your Honor.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Ben Denowith here. Can I ask the court to set it for a PCC? This was up for PCC on April 8th in front of Judge Giles.
Okay.
And the note in the prosecutor's file is that Defense Attorney Johnson did not appear, so the case was adjourned, which, you know, is a good reason to adjourn, but it should have been an adjourned PCC date.
For sure.
And I think May should as well, given that Mr. Johnson, I mean, we don't even know if he's aware he's assigned to the case or anything. So, and given the minor charges, I think, you know,
I think
might
that's
be a waiver
appropriate.
of plea, that type of thing.
I have no objection to setting this for a probable cause conference. It's challenging for me to explain why he would not have appeared twice.
Okay, so, and I appreciate you standing in so that we could move this case along. We are going to adjourn for a new PCC given those representations, and that will be for May 20th, 2020 at 8:30, and the defendant is out on bond. That bond will continue in the interim.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
And
you.
what sort of notification, Madam Clerk, will there be some notification sent to Mr. Johnson as his representative?
I will actually call unless Ms. Greenberg Morrow's gonna call. What I've been finding is a lot of the notices are going to their offices, and a lot of attorneys aren't going to their office because they're staying at home.
I see, okay.
I can call and leave a voicemail. I'll leave a
Okay.
message.
Let
Thank you.
me just say that in order to accept a case, it has to be set up that the notification either comes to your cell phone or your email. And I would assume that all attorneys are accessing their email from home. So the notices are not in a hard copy.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. Hopefully we will be able to get to the bottom of this so that Mr. Johnson can be brought into the loop here and be aware of the new date. And the bond will continue in the interim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling charges on Green, case number 2056081. The people of the state of Michigan versus Ara Green, first name spelled A-R-A-A. The defendant is charged with count 1, robbery armed, and this is scheduled for an exam this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Appearances, please.
Ben Dunawith for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Beth Greenberg Morrow, appearing on behalf of Mr. Ara Green, standing in place of his attorney of record, Joe Irby, and I ask the court's permission to waive Mr. Green's presence as he is not in custody.
Okay, thank you. So ordered. With today being the date and time set for an examination, I'm curious as to why Counsel Irby is not present. I wonder if it's a similar situation, Mr. Dunawith, as what happened on the previous case?
No, I don't think so, Judge. I've appeared on this particular case and I can't picture Miss Irby being present. I don't know if she's standing counsel, but defendant has definitely been in front of Judge Jones, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, defendant's been to court for this, so I don't think there's an attorney issue.
Okay, so we will need to assign a new preliminary examination date. And given the fact that the defendant is out on bond, that date is going to be May 20th, 2020, in hopes that the courthouse will be up and running, and that will be set for 9 a.m. The bond will continue in the interim.
Thank you,
And in this situation, Judge, do you think that it is still appropriate to set it for exam as opposed to adjourn PCC?
Well, the only distinction, Mr. Dunawith had indicated that the defendant was present. He doesn't recall Madam Defense Counsel being present. Perhaps someone stood in, but it seems to be a little bit distinguished from the prior one. Mr. Dunawith, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and I mean, just knowing the facts of this case versus a drug possession, you know, a drug possession is going to waive or plead like 90% of the time. This will almost
I thought you said this case was robbery, not armed.
Yeah, these people had a prior relationship. I mean, it definitely hold the.
No
But,
problem.
I mean,
I just don't want to be in a situation where your complainant is unable to zoom in. Mr. Green is unable to zoom in.
Oh, well, I mean, I think I'd be fine with setting all these for PCCs because we're going to not even be able to fit all these people in the courtroom on May 20th. So, you know.
Okay, so let's set that for a PCC then. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, if you could change that to a PCC on May 20th. And given the concerns that have been raised, I would go along with that. And again, that's going to be May 20th, 2020 at 8:30.
Thank you,
Very well. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Calling Arthur Williams, case number 1762311. The people of the state of Michigan versus Arthur Williams. The defendant is charged with count 1, assault with intent to murder. Count 2, assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault. Count 3, weapons, felony firearm. Habitual offender, second offense notice. This is scheduled for a competency review today.
Okay, appearances, please.
Ben Dunawith for the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Beth Greenberg Morrow, appearing on behalf of Mr. Arthur Williams, standing in place of his attorney of record, Wright Blake, with the court's permission, waiving Mr. Williams' presence.
Yes, so ordered. Thank you. Today being the date and time set for a competency review, do we have any report that has been received as of late?
Last thing that I see in the file was received January 3rd, 2020.
Okay, was this oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Dunawith.
I was just going to say, Your Honor, Prosecutor Kiefer Cox contacted the Forensic Center on March 18th, about 3 weeks ago, and we have not heard from them regarding the final report, but we do believe it should have been done already. So I guess it's probably a virus issue.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll adjourn this in like manner like we've been to May. Oh, I'm sorry, is he in a facility currently?
Your Honor, may I interrupt momentarily?
Yes.
Because I'm at a disadvantage not knowing the historical background. And this sounds like a very serious case, and we don't have any substantial information about what's happening with the report. I would ask that this matter be put over, adjourned for a short period of time, perhaps till Monday or a week, sometime next week, so that Mr. Wright Blake, the attorney of record, could be present. He would have more background, and some of these things are concerning in terms of if Mr. Williams, we don't want him lost in the forensic center system right now.
Correct. I think that's a good consideration. Is he's currently in a facility right now?
I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, we're not 100% sure. He was at a facility on April 4th, but his treatment order only lasts for 15 months. So whatever judge it was that ordered him to treatment, that's expired. So I don't know what happened to him.
All right, I think it is, given that background, I think it is a good idea to adjourn it to, we'll say 1 week from now, which would be April 22nd. We'll adjourn that review to April 22nd, 2020 at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if I could trouble you to send a quick note or message to Mr. Wright Blake so that he's aware of that adjourned date.
I will call him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Are we set?
Jeanette Smith, I believe we're waiting for an AG.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunaway.
He was getting some assistance to call in, so.
Your Honor, while we are waiting, Ms. Silver and I today are having a phone conference with Judge King and Judge Hennett Johnson to discuss some of the issues that are going on right now. Is there any input that you have that you would like me to bring up or share with them?
Well, none other than I think the obvious. The concern that I'm hearing from defense attorneys is this lag in time for in-person examinations, but it's out of our control. We can't really hasten that date. And even the dates that we're setting now, there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to actually conduct a live examination on those dates. And just as we had, I think it was Mr. Winter's client today, that was someone who he hasn't even had ample time to really discuss the matter with his client. And then it's almost as if the client, the defendant, is being put in a situation where if they want to have their matter addressed soon, they have to waive that right to the in-person examination. And I don't know if you were present during that hearing, but
I was, yeah, I saw all of that, and the defendant was very frustrated, I could see.
And I understand that, because they're not really they're not seeing all the perspective. They're not seeing it from our perspective. And of course, they're looking at it from their perspective, which makes sense. I would too, if I was in a defendant's position that's in custody and doesn't really understand that we don't have another option to open the doors. So in that situation, I just didn't feel comfortable that he was voluntarily giving up his right to a live exam. And then we ended up putting it out for May 20th, which we can't even guarantee that the court's going to be available. But those are, I think, are frustrations that are being brought forward, but there isn't a resolution. We can't make this situation go away sooner than it's ready to go away. And we're all just waiting. We're all anxious, I think, and eager to get back into the courtroom, but we don't want to do so at the risk of endangering people's health. So I don't know that that's really any input that isn't blaringly obvious, but we're all trying to do the best we can to service everyone and keep the ball moving, because May and June is going to be really something when we come back.
Yes, and it may be that they need to put a couple extra judges on the criminal docket, the criminal felony docket, when we do get back to work.
That, you know, in theory, that might be something that would be helpful, but then imagine all of the matters that have been backed up on those other judges' dockets that haven't even seen the day of light. They're going to be backed up too. So I don't know that, even though we have what, 20, how many do we have? 29 or so judges. I don't know that we have the availability to pull someone off of another docket that hasn't even, you know, we've been, the 4 judges here, we've been up and running and moving, but those other courtrooms, for the most part, I think the criminal misdemeanor docket has been going forward within custodies, and maybe the DV docket, but the other courtrooms haven't been, I don't believe, haven't been doing even Zoom. Are you aware? Do you know?
I think the answer is that you hit it on a nail. They're backlogged because they require the participation of the public to come in present. So
right.
No, they're not doing anything. I think there's even been some problem with Monday. They were yesterday, 2 days ago, they were supposed to start the misdemeanor docket. We never received any Zoom information. There's no Zoom information on the 36th District Court's website. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. And
I will say, I think that what we have been, with the resources we have, I think we have been doing a really good job. Not only the clerks that come in, Madam Clerk and Madam Court Reporter, everybody I think is pulling their weight. You have certainly helped out a tremendous amount. I think we are doing a good job with the constraints that we're dealing with, but it's just,
clearly,
you know.
Well, and thank you too, because you're running a very tight ship over there. You're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you. And it's interesting because when you're at home, you have a whole nother set of things going on with children and pets, and we're all doing our best. I saw your adorable dog. There was one other thing I did want to raise. Oh my goodness. While you were talking,
we do have the AG here. I see him.
Oh, good. Okay. Madam Clerk, we have the AG here.
He didn't pop up.
Hi, Judge.
Hi there.
Hi, Richmond Riggs from the Attorney General's office.
Thanks for joining us.
I apologize for my appearance. I did not realize that the court was Zooming.
No, that's okay. Where's your U of M sweatshirt?
That must be in the water, Judge.
Just kidding.
My son's the U of M, my daughter's the MSU, so I get to wear both.
Just kidding. Madam Clerk, can we call that matter?
And I can't see the court reporter. Is she there?
Yes.
Okay. Calling case number 17566560. The people of the state of Michigan versus Jeanette Marie Smith. The defendant is charged with count 1, 2, and 3, identity theft. Count 4, 5, and 6, uttering and publishing. This is scheduled for an exam this morning.
Okay, thank you. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Judge. May it please the court. My name is Richmond Riggs, P33863, Assistant Attorney General on behalf of the people.
Thank you. Madam Defense?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Beth Greenberg Morrow. I'm appearing on behalf of Ms. Jeanette Marie Smith. I'm standing in for Ms. Smith's attorney of record, E. Michael Morris. Ms. Smith, I understand, is not in custody, and I therefore request the court's permission to waive her presence.
So ordered, thank you. So with today being the date and time set for an examination, obviously considering the pandemic upon us, we need to adjourn this matter. The new date for, I'm assuming, were you going to request this be set for a new PCC as we've done with the previous 2 cases?
May I inquire, as from the prosecutor, the Attorney General, Mr. Riggs, are you have you appeared on this case before with the attorney present?
I have spoken to the attorney several times by telephone. We have exchanged discovery, and we are in the process of
Okay.
discussing.
These type of cases probably involve a lot of document exchange and documents being entered onto the record. Is this something that you and the defense attorney have discussed in terms of doing this by Zoom?
We have not discussed doing it by Zoom. That is something we will have to talk about. I would request, Judge, that we set this for a PCC so that he and I might get together and determine exactly how we're going to handle this.
Okay, I think that's
would agree with
appropriate.
that.
Okay, so we'll set this for a new PCC date of May 20th. The defendant is out on bond, so they won't be in custody for that period of time. And that's going to be set for 8:30. And the bond in the interim is going to continue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And that
Judge.
was, thank you. Was that our last case, Tammy?
Mr. Attorney General Riggs, would you be in a position to contact the attorney of record?
Yes, I will give him a call and let him know our new date.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, was that our last matter?
I see Mr. Glanda has appeared on the screen. Do you have a case, Mr. Glanda?
I don't, but I needed to talk to Tammy when your docket is concluded, please. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are you there?
I'm here.
Was that our last matter?
It was, I just missed that whole what happened though, because I was on the phone.
Okay,
Was it
no
set
worries.
for-
We set it for a new PCC on May 20th at 8:30.
Okay.
And Mr. AG indicated he would contact the attorney of record, Mr. Morse.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh,
thank
and
you.
the bond continued.
Continue, okay.
So Madam Clerk, with that, that's our last matter, correct?
That's it, and now I'll speak to Mr. Glanda.
Okay, so just one more thing though. I don't know, I can't recall whether or not the IT guy gave you instruction, but we just need to turn off the live streaming. He made it seem as though it was just a button, but
Yeah, from what I was told just now, I called to ask about it. When I disconnect from the Zoom room, the live stream goes down with it.
okay, so in like manner, when we come back tomorrow, when you go on, will it automatically start live streaming, or is there an additional?
No, that something be from your screen. I'm not sure
Okay.
what's going on with that, because if
Well-
if we're signing on here, then you won't be able to do the breakout rooms.
Right, so just as I was trying to explain, I'm not trying to be difficult. My computer crashed, so I'm zooming in via my phone, and my phone, obviously, according to Mr. IT, I don't have that capability to control or manage or live stream. So while I was able to be the host, I couldn't do much more beyond that in terms of managing. So what I'm going to try, here's my situation. My kids are home, but they are also in the midst of online school. So while they have a laptop that I could probably use here and there, they also need their own. So I'm going to do the best I can and see if, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, I have to check with my kids, but that's the difficulty that I have. And perhaps if we have an exam that's coming up that we can foresee, then maybe I'll just come in that day.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because I do recognize, Tammy, it's hard for you. There's no way you can bounce around and push buttons on the,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I can do a lot, but I am only one person.
And you're doing a fantastic job. Let me ask you, how's your family doing?
Oh, everyone's good. Yeah, everyone's good. Caitlin's a little lonely because she's all by herself, so.
Yeah. All right, well, Madam Court Reporter? Well, maybe she left.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you, and you did an outstanding job today, given all of that background noise.
Oh, thank you. Thank you with your help. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, what I'm going to also make sure, and maybe remind me if I forget, to make sure at the beginning, before we start calling cases, when everyone starts checking in, that we tell people then to mute their microphone unless they're part of a matter that's been called on the record, because that happened a lot today.
Yeah, it did.
And the jail as well. Can we, when
Yeah.
we contact them, can we let them know until that person name is called that their mic should be muted too?
Right. I'll talk to them.
Okay. Mr. AG, did you need something further?
No, Judge, thank you.
Okay, stay safe and healthy. And Mr. Glanda, I think, needs you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, how can I help you, Mr. Glenn?
I'm gonna sign
yes.
off, okay?
All right, Judge, have a great day. Everyone have a great day.
You too, have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, Tammy.
Yes.
Hi, yes. Yeah, if you could do me a little favor, because you've been very helpful. I had a case about a week or two ago, and I don't know what happened to it. I tried to zoom in on the hearing, and nobody was open. So I don't know if it was your case or someone, but I have a CTN number here. I have the defendant's name. I have the charge. I was just wondering if you could check and see if there's any further information on it, please.
What's the last name?
Perez, P-E-R-E-Z.
And the first name?
Miguel, M-I-G-U-E-L. C-S, it's a capital case. It's not a CSC, it's a capital. And I have a CTN number here.
Okay, just give me a second.
It was last up on April 6th.
Yeah, you know what? They didn't, no one's put any new information in there. That was scheduled in front of Judge King, and no new date has been entered.
Okay, wow, see,
So,
I don't know what happened.
maybe call up and talk to Judge King's clerk.
Okay,
He's in Judge Giles' courtroom.
Giles, okay. All right then, well, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Bye.
Bye.